This is part one of a new Blender challenge, which is to create some kind of a medieval scene. And I'm going to be creating a medieval house. It's going to take probably a number of videos to complete it, and I may do other props and other little dwellings of some sort. What we're going to be making is basically this. It's simple. It's easy to do for relative beginners. It's going to be modeled and textured in Blender. As much as I feel the urge to jump over to Substance Painter, we'll try to keep it in Blender. It may not look exactly like this. This is a work in progress, and some of these pieces may change, but it's going to be roughly like this. And I'll try to put together some kind of a little scene if I have a chance. So if you're interested in doing this Blender challenge, feel free to model along with me. You can do the exact same thing that I do if you want, and submit that as whips along the way in a final render on the Zero Bio Discord, and I'll leave links in the description for that. Or you can do your own thing. The only requirement is that you do new models. If you've done stuff before, don't just submit them. You got to do new stuff for the challenge. And modeled in Blender, and you can texture it any way you like. Doesn't have to be in Blender. But that's what we're going for. So if you're interested in this kind of a thing, I haven't really done this before. We've done an ancient civilization, we've done a Western, which is kind of similar, but I haven't really done medieval, so it's a bit of a learning process for me as well. But it is pretty basic stuff, and hopefully it'll look nice, textured and rendered with some other props and some ground stuff and some foliage and stuff. The one difficulty we're going to have is textures, because we all may have different wood textures, and you're going to need to find stuff on the internet, because some of the stuff that I'm going to be using, I don't know where I got it from, and some stuff I bought as well. And so you just use what you can, and I'll try to direct you to some places where you could get some pretty similar stuff. Alright, but anyways, we have a ways to go before that. This image is available for download if you want it. I'll leave a link for that. It's just for some scale. So anyways, this is the reference image. I'm bringing it in. I'm going to model against this a little bit and then just leave it at that. I'm going to press S3, let's say 3. Sure, why not? And I'm going to press G to move. And I want to get this so that, yeah, it's a little bit blurry. That's fine though. We just want to model against that. I want to get it so that I've got my 3D cursors around the bottom here, and we can start modeling against that. So I'm going to start, and I'll move it when I need to. So here we go. We're actually going to be using a lot of cubes this time, which I don't usually do. I usually end up using planes, all the same, I suppose. So anyways, I'm going to move that up. I'm going to go into wireframe, and I'm going to scale this in the X. And I'm going to come out to about the middle of these posts on either side. So that's not too bad. I'm going to press B and box select. That way I'll get the backs as well. And I'm going to move that down to about there, somewhere around there. And I just want to get the overall shape. And then I'm going to come back into solid view. And then to get the length of this thing, and which, by the way, I'm going to move this back. Let's move that back there. To get the length of it, I'm going to take it and I'm going to rotate Z 90. And I'm going to slide it over here. I'll go back into wireframe. And this is just going to be approximate. It's not going to be perfect. I can go to about the middle of the block again, or I can sort of see the, I thought I could see the edge, but anyways. Go back into edit mode and box select there, press B and drag around them, and go to around the middle of that. And that's pretty good for our the size of our house. Okay, so I'm going to rotate Z 90 again and slide this around onto our house. And I'm going to say start modeling. We've already started. So that's basically what it's going to be. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to go into edit mode and press 3 for face selection and select that face and look from the front again. Go into wireframe, and I'm going to make the roof, and I'm going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to pull up to about the top there. right. I'm going to turn, press 1 for vertex selection. I'll go back into solid view. I'm going to select this point and this point, and I'm going to press M for merge at center. Select that point, hold down shift, that point, M, merge at center, and we'll have that. Let's look from the front again and see that we've roughly got what we need for our house. And again, if we're off the diagram a little bit, that's okay. We're just getting ideas here. Okay, I press 3 for face selection because we are going to separate the roof. I'm going to select those two faces and press P, separate by selection. That's done. I'm going to come up here. We're going to select these because we are not going to be using those at all. Faces, we'll get rid of that. In fact, we're not going to use the bottom face as well. We'll use some of this though for the walls. So let's go into wireframe. And I'm going to go Control R and put an edge loop right around the middle of there so I can have an area for the brick texture and the plaster. All right, and that goes all the way around. That's good. We'll be separating those out later, but we'll have that there ready to go. So, okay, I think the first thing that I want to do is work on just some of these support beams. We'll start that off. Okay, so my 3D cursor is right in the middle. And that's okay. Although I could bring it to this edge. I'm going to select that edge and hold down shift and that edge. I don't really need both of them, but shift S cursor to select it. Bring the 3D cursor there so that any new object they bring will come in right there. So I'm going to press shift A, mesh, cube, bring that in, go into wireframe, and scale it down until I get the approximate width of that beam and even the position. I'll have to adjust that. I'm going to bring it down. This will go into the ground. I don't know if it makes sense that bricks are off the ground, but that's the way I did it. I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to press B and box select the top, and I'm going to pull up. And I'm going to pull up until where roughly this would hit the roof. Now, yeah, let's see. All right, I'll come up to there. And now I want to just think about the position of this. And I think that's probably okay because I want some space to put some beams underneath that. So with that there for the moment, I'm going to reselect my house and go into edit mode and select it all and shift S cursor to select it. So my 3D cursor is right in the middle. Take my post and set the origin to the 3D cursor so that I can mirror it. And I have another one. And let's just see if we can get him at the back. And I can. Hopefully I like the position. So they're all mirrored, which is both good and bad if you want to make changes. One thing I am going to do is I'm going to put a bevel on this. I'm going to be doing it with the bevel modifier quite a lot. And I'm going to use a value here of 0.01 pretty much consistently throughout this. So there's just the slightest bevel. And I will be applying that, but not quite yet. Now, we're not going to do any sculpting or anything, but you could bend these a little bit. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. So why am I bringing it up? Let's go into wireframe and make this right here. And I think to do that, I may want to reuse this stuff here. So I'm going to shift D, pull it out here. I'm going to get rid of the mirror, so I just have one of them. All right, so I've got that piece there. And I'm going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to rotate Y 90. And I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to make it smaller. Let's bring it out for a second. And I'm going to SY, make it narrower. Pull it in like this. I just want it into the wall, a bit like that. Let's look from the front again and in wireframe and get it roughly in the right position. And let's see. I'm going to scale this in the Z a little bit and just get it where we roughly need it, around there. And I think what I'll do is I'll bring it across and maybe we'll cut it later. I will get rid of, although I'll be copying these, I'm not going to get rid of the back faces or anything yet. Let's not do that. Let's just have that there. And let's go ahead and add that bevel as well. 0.01. Keep in mind that if you edit, in object mode, that you would need to go Control A, apply all transforms. And maybe I did do something because I changed it a little bit. So just get in the habit of applying all transforms. Yeah, okay, and that moved. So I'm going to come in here. Let's see. Set origin to 3D cursor. Okay, that moves them back. Okay, that's fine. That's looking better. See the way the bevel looks better too? Anyways. All right, so we've got that there. We're going to mirror that to the back. So I'm going to set the origin to the 3D cursor. And what have I got? Oh, do I have 2 bevels on there? I guess I do have 2 bevels because I copied it, didn't I? Maybe you saw that and I didn't. All right, I'm gonna put that there. So it's in the back as well, and that's fine. It's sticking in there. So I'm now going to take it and Shift D, rotate Z90 to bring it to the sides. I'm going to come in and I'm going to push this into the wall like that. All right, and I'm going to grab this face. I'm going to pull it in. And I'm going to grab this face. I'm going to pull it in. I suppose I could actually start getting rid of those faces so that I don't have to worry about that later. So I'll do that. And we'll do the same on this one here. We'll delete that face. And we'll delete this face. And I think that's all of them. So that one's there and that one's there. So we have this and we have this. Okay, so let's I'm just going to go ahead and apply that mirror, and I'm going to apply that mirror, and I'm going to join these. Let's look from the front again, and we have one down here to do, so Shift D. Let's just duplicate that and pull it down. Double check that everything looks okay. Yeah, all right, as far as I can tell anyhow. And we'll do another one up here, Shift D, bring it up. Now, I may have to bring these up a little bit. And what have I got? Just one that'll move everything? Yeah, one to move it all. Okay, I'm going to move that up just a little bit above this beam here. So it seems to make sense, and we'll build stuff accordingly. All right, so that's great. I'm going to save at that point. I'm going to turn on the cavity shader so I can see my edges a little bit better. I'm going to start working on the roof. So I'm going to make the these planks, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to get rid of this side, X faces, and just work on this one, and then I'll position it and make it a bit bigger if need be. All right, so I'm going to add some edge loops by going Control R, and I'm going to roll my mouse up a bunch of times. I do not want them too wide, like I don't want to do that. I'd rather have more than less, so I don't know how many I put in there, maybe one less. I'm just going to do that. So I have my edge loops there. All right. Now, I'm also going to add some edge loops here so I can deform this a bit. I want these to be separated a little bit so they look like individual planks. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to press 3 for face selection and hold Control at the end of that. Shift and Control on the last one. Shift, Control. So I'm just pressing Shift and then I'm switching to Control. Just like that. So I have that. I've got every other sort of plank selected. And I'm going to press Y to separate them. So now if I press G, I can move them around. Let's come back. So I've got that. And now what I'm going to do, because I've got them separated, is select them all and come over to individual origins. And I'm going to separate these like this. I'm just pulling them. I guess I'm pulling to the right. And I can hold Shift to move a bit slower. I don't want too much space, just a little bit of space. We're going to put them back together after, so here's what I have so far. All right. Now I'm going to deform these a little bit. I'm going to go back to median point and I'm going to switch on proportional editing and turn to random. In edge selection, number 2, I just pressed 2. I'm going to select right here maybe, and I'm going to press G, and you'll see the circle of influence. I'm going to pull out just a little bit, not too much, and then I'll choose another one and I'll come in a little bit. I'll choose another one down here maybe, and I'll come out a little bit, and choose another one and go in a little bit. And I'll just go around doing that. And you can go off to the side just a little bit. I don't want to do too much of that. Take this one and come in. So that just jumbles them up just a little bit. I'm also going to change the length of these a little bit. I'll go back into edit mode. I'll turn, yeah, maybe I'll leave that on. I'm going to select an edge, but I'm going to switch to normal, and that will follow the direction my planks are going. And I'm just going to just move it down just a little bit. Take another one and move it up a little bit. Just like that. And hopefully it'll look a little bit, you know, like they're of different lengths. Well, it should, anyhow. Okay, that looks all right, I guess. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is give these some thickness. So I'm going to add a modifier, solidify, and I'm going to start pulling this. I'm going to pull it outwards. Give myself some thickness for my wood. Maybe something like that. All right, and the bevel 0.01. And then I'm going to shade smooth and add normals, auto smooth. And then I'm going to come back in and in individual origins, I've just got it selected, even though you can't really tell because the solidify is on. It's really just sort of flat. I'm going to scale in the X, and this time I'm going to go which way? No, I'm not. I'm going to go back to global, and I'm going to scale in the Y, and I'm going to pull to the right, and that's what brings them together. There could be a little bit of space, just not too much. Okay, so I've got that. All right, I'm happy with that. And so I'm going to come over and I'm going to apply the solidify, and I'm going to apply the bevel. So I've got that, and I just want to have a look at this. Now I actually need this to go past this post now, I realize. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to see if I go into wireframe mode, if I can box select here and go into normal, turn off that, and see if I can pull these down a little. Alright, so I've done that, and I can reposition this. Okay, I can take this whole thing and I can pull it up. I can rotate it a little bit, just so that it sort of meets the edge and goes past. Now the one thing that I didn't think about is the fact that it extends over. So I made my planks nice and narrow, so I can take this, go back into global, and I can scale this in the Y. My planks will get a little bit bigger, but now I have that overshoot that I want, and that's fine. Okay, 3D cursor is still there, right? So let's set the origin to the 3D cursor, and let's mirror that over, and I have this. All right, I'll put down a piece right there, right in the middle. So I'm going to bring in another cube and bring it up. I'll go into edit mode and scale. I tend to do most of my scaling and rotating in edit mode, so I don't always have to apply the transformations. SY, SY, just passed. And I'm okay with having it pretty much like that. So I'm going to come into here and I'm going to add that bevel of 0.01. Now, generally I would shade smooth and I would add auto smooth. We're going to be joining this. Sometimes I will add the weighted normal, which tends to look even a little bit nicer. But because I'll be joining that, I'll probably be doing that later. All right, we'll do a little bit more on this. And don't worry about the fact that they're mirrored over. You're never going to look at both sides at the same time. Let's do this piece in the middle, and then we'll call it pretty much quits for the time being. This piece here with the planks. So I'm going to bring in a plane now, and go into edit mode, rotate X 90, and slide this up past here. And let's go into wireframe and select this bottom edge and bring it to about there. Select the whole thing and scale it in the X. And I want to come out to around there. I can lift this up a little bit so that my bottom vertices are kind of inside the roof part here. So I'll take this and I'll just bring it down here. I just want to make sure I've got this whole area covered. All right, and now I'm going to add some edge loops and to create my planks. So I want a bunch of them. That's probably okay. But the other thing I want to think about is that circle in the middle, that circular window. When I cut that out, I don't want that on an edge. All right, the way it is right now, it's sort of right in the middle of a plank on either side, and that's ideal for this. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my edges right there. I'll go back into solid view like that. I think that's okay. I hope. Let's take this and move it more into position. We'll do that later, but I might as well get it roughly where I'm going to have it. Something like that. Okay. I'm going to be deforming this, so I'm going to add some edge loops. I'll add just a few like that. That's fine there. And press 1 to look from the front. And now to get it to the shape of this sort of triangle, we're going to use the bisect tool. So with it all selected, come up to mesh and bisect. And then just click here and drag a line, don't let go, up through here like that. And then open this menu here and choose either clear inner or clear outer. And outer was the one that worked for that. Select it again, go mesh, bisect. I'm going to start down here this time. And you can see it's doing something weird. Just cut all the way up and then switch this to inner. And we have that. Now I'm going to take this, I'm going to focus just on that. And let's see here. Let's take this and this, this and this. Like that. Let's select those. Press Y to break them apart. G to test. Yep. And now select the whole thing. Individual origins. And we're going to press S. What are we doing? SX. SX. And I'm going to push, I guess, to separate them a bit. You can see them separating apart. I'm holding Shift. Just a little bit of space in between them. Something like that is okay. And now we're going to deform them. So I'm going to go back to median point and proportional editing on random. Take one of these edges, pull it out a little bit. Take another one, push it in a little bit. Take this one, maybe pull it to the side a bit and out a bit. And that was a bit much there. Okay, gotta be gentle. Just a little bit. All right, good enough. Okay, I'm gonna bring everything back and have a look at this here. And we're gonna add solidify. So I think actually I will hide the other stuff. I'm going to add solidify and give it some thickness. I'll go back, I guess. Something to that effect is probably okay with me. All right, and bevel 0.01 as well. And then I will go into edit mode and take that off. Individual origins, SX, pull to bring them closer together. Just try not to overlap them. Just have them so that there's a little gap in between. And that is probably okay with me. So I will apply the solidify and the bevel. I can come in here and merge by distance just in case. There were a couple of vertices due to that bisecting. Double check that that's facing outwards, slash key to come back. It's time to work on these. I'm going to hide the main house part and fix up these things. In fact, this will probably go in behind that now that I think about it, so we are okay. Okay, so these main posts here, I'm going to come in and I'm going to select this edge, and I think if I do that, all of them are going to respawn. Let's see, looking in wireframe, because of that mirror, they all are doing the same thing. Okay, so good. Let's look back in solid view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that up to the ceiling like that. All right. Okay, good. So far, so good. Alt-H to bring that stuff back. So far, so good. We are going to mirror this to the back. Actually, I think I'm going to just copy it. No, I'll mirror it and then I'll break it out. Let's first of all shade smooth and apply auto smooth, and we can make that whole. So let's take this first of all and see if 3D cursor's there. Let's set the origin to the 3D cursor, and let's mirror this to the back. Okay, yeah, it's back there. Good. I'm going to apply that mirror and come in here and see if I can get everybody here and not back there. Control L, P to break it out. So I moved the other one back there, but I now have access to just that one. Okay, we'll end up with cutting this hole in here. I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to bring in a cylinder. I'm just going to leave the default values, rotate it, move it up, scale it down. All right, just position it where you like, where it looks relatively central. Okay, and have it actually going through this piece of wood. So I'm going to have that selected and shift select that and slash key to focus on just those two. You need to make sure that your polys are blue or facing the right way, which they are in that case. And then I'm going to come over here and select this piece, add Boolean on difference, and with the eyedropper select the cylinder and apply, not duplicate, and apply. Now hide that, don't get rid of it, and there's our hole, and it looks okay. All right, so I'm going to Alt-H to bring this back. We're going to use this piece, so I'm going to select it in edit mode and scale it in the Y. I'm going to move it out. We're going to make a frame out of this. I'm going to scale that in the Y a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than the hole. All right, like this. And then in face selection number 3, I'm going to select the front and the back. And I'm not looking at the diagram for this. I'm going to press I to inset, come in as wide as you want your frame. Control E, bridge edge loops. Select the whole thing, slide it back, and you have a window frame going through, slash key, so we can see inside. All right, I'm going to shade smooth. We will do auto smooth, and let's make sure we just apply all transform just to make sure, in case I did something I wasn't supposed to do. All right, and save once in a while. And we're going to put in some glass, but we'll also put in some of that stuff there. There's a few different ways to make that. So with my 3D cursor right there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a plane. I'm going to rotate X 90, scale it down, bring it forward, and I want to focus just on the plane and that. So I'm going to slash on those two things, make it a little bit bigger. Look from the front, that's a square, so I'm going to right click and subdivide this up. I'm going to go for 7 times. All right. In face selection, I'm going to press I twice. I'm going to pull in to make some holes. I'm going to press X faces just like that. So I've got that piece there. I'm going to rotate 45 degrees. So I have that effect. Now I want to cut off this extra stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it actually a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to create a cylinder out of this. I'm going to grab a circle, Shift D, pull it out, P to break it out. So I've got that. I don't need this anymore. I've got this. I don't need the bevel on it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. F to make a face, E to extrude, pull back through this right here, this stuff. I'm going to give this some thickness with solidify. Figure out roughly how thick I want it to be. Maybe that thick. I'm going to apply that. I'm going to come in and just merge by distances in case there is anything and make sure my faces. See, this one is not facing the right way, and that would cause a problem. So make sure they're all blue. Okay, select this and add a Boolean. Intersect and choose your eyedropper and select here, and then apply. Now you can get rid of the cylinder and you've got this. Slash key to bring everything back. Let me scale it up until I'm happy with all of that. Nothing else is showing, so that's fine. So it is a little one-dimensional, I will admit, but that's the way that goes. It also may not, I'm going to just merge by distance. I got rid of a few vertices. It may not take a bevel very well, but we're going to have a look. It's actually taking a bevel very well. So, you know, sometimes you get lucky. I'm going to shade smooth, and I will add auto smooth. And in this case, I'm going to try weighted normal. Maybe. To get it to look a bit better, you can increase your bevel. I think that's going to be fine with the texture on it. I'm just going to debate if I even need that. And let me see. Let me see if I need that at all. You can also try, under geometry, miter out, or try arc. And you get a different pattern. I think I like that pattern a little bit better. I just want to make sure, of course, that my faces are okay. You see this piece here, Alt-N, recalculate outside. Everything else looks good. So we are in pretty good shape, I think. Let's just have a look at what we've got so far. Okay, a little bit of cleanup work to do, but that's not a bad start. So let's leave it at that. Hopefully that was explained well enough and you followed along if you are doing this, and I hope you'll join me for the next part.